you know, now I'm the bad guy, and so, but it's gonna work. Okay, so back in time a little bit, 1978, I was dating my husband. I said to him, we are in the end of times. I was 19 years old, I was always into this stuff. He said he knew when that would be. I said, oh really? He said it would be when men and women can no longer tell the difference between men and women. I was thinking Star Trek uniforms, right? Just about as ghastly as you can get. No. But I'm sure all of you are educated in here, and you can tell the difference between men and women, right? Yeah. Look at the woman on the left. This is a self-proclaimed tranny pageant. See her big ears, or his big ears, because they confess it, so it's okay to say his. Is that what
it's like blurred or something.
Yeah, where'd he go?
I don't know. It almost looks like a colored negative.
I know. Where'd he go?
I think all the slides, not just you.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. Are you going to get up there?
Okay,
Thanks.
Because it looks normal on his screen.
Yeah, it looks normal on my screen too. I have no idea what to do.
It's the monitor that.
Well, this is the worst thing that happens with tech and attacks I've had this year. We can do this.
Yeah.
Okay?
They clearly look like women.
They do. Well, now the Asian culture, they are easier to hide. When my husband and I would go to conferences, the Asian woman that was up there talking about being tranny, we were shocked. We kept like trying to put puzzle pieces together, things she was saying. It was like, oh, this is a boy. The white woman that came up, totally you could tell. Totally you could tell. But either way, it makes a point. So I'm going to show you some before and afters of self-proclaimed trans. This is 1 year after testosterone and surgery. You can see now how she has an Adam's apple, a wider neck, a thicker brow line. She definitely looks more masculine, but you can still see that she's got the sloping shoulders and a definite twinkle in her eye. This is obviously an MTF, male to female. Pointier chin, smaller nose.
Somebody's messing with my stuff, sorry. There you go.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
You want to go back? Okay, wow.
Wow.
Which one?
Well, they're all trannies. But if you look on the one on the left, you can see the large ears, and I don't think that's just from her earrings pulling down her ears. Right? And she's got wide set eyes, definite square jawline, and probably in the wide shoulders on all of them.
I'm sorry, you cannot tell.
I can.
Only when you start looking at this. And that's my point. We have been hoodwinked. This is a FTM, female to male. Look at the nipples. Obviously, that's a dead giveaway. But women's nipples tend to go in different directions because each breast has a different hormone level. Men's tend to go straight forward, but you can still see she's got the waistline showing and the smaller arms. See how they look small, right? And they're all bragging about it, of course, on YouTube.
Insane.
So if I'm going to talk about non-celebrities, I'm going to talk about celebrities.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be ironic if this person who's done so much damage to the American, if not world, global family, you know I don't mean that, you know what I'm saying? But let's look at her. Really large hands. The forefinger is longer.
Look at that.
We've got the square jawline. This person could crack walnuts. She's got the deep brow ridge. And at first I thought, well, that's a flat forehead, and then I found this photo. That's a sloping forehead, and isn't that cute? We have become the men we wanted to marry. Maybe they were the men all along. And then we have some more famous ones, in fact, an icon. But let's listen, and I'll tell you what she says if you can't hear it, what her co-star has to say about her.
You probably don't remember me. But we go back a long way. Actually, I've known Lucille Ball, man and boy, for over 20 years.
She says, I've known Lucille Ball for 20 years, man and boy.
Yeah.
Man and boy. She's got a secret. That's a universal code for I've got a secret. Then as I was doing research, there's some really great videos on her out there. I came across cross her on the Tonight Show. Look at the shoulders, that's a linebacker.
Yeah.
Small hips, large feet, large head. The worst part was she sat down and she's, interesting, she sat down and she goes, Hollywood just treats me so horrible. No grace,
Right.
no beauty. She sounded like an old gay man.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not I Love Lucy, but I Love Lucy Lucifer
Right.
or Lucille Bale. So you see, they code things. They love to put it right in front of us. So names matter. Or rock stars. Especially the one on the left. When I was looking at them and doing my own research, I really couldn't say for sure. But the one on the left, when she dresses like a girl, or he's dressed like a girl, and plus the queen is a female character. Houston is a male name. Why we did not see this one, I do not know. Because when I'm talking to people and I share about this, I always go to this person as my go-to gal. And then they go, oh, I see that. But look at the wide shoulders, the wide, the jawline. It's ridiculously in front of us. I honestly think she was so high up in the elite status with her dad being somebody. They didn't care that she looked like that. They usually pick people that the hormones take really well. Courtney Cox, I don't think I have to explain her name to you. Now look at this one. Alice Cooper. If you were to do this, you would say that's just somebody at Halloween.
Yeah.
Just something to think about. Denzel Washington, I can't mean to get his stuff written down about his names, but they're really odd, but it wasn't like glaring at me like the rest of them. But still, there's a reason why he's usually photographed from the chest up. Look at the hips on that person. That's scary. When I saw that, I was like shocked.
I'm so sad now.
So Cher Bono.
Wow.
And what mother would dress her child up in a Playboy bunny outfit and go to the Playboy mansion or wherever she was?
Wow.
But let's look at what she has to say for herself. You're going to be fun today, aren't you? I joked Friday that it was like when my son would play Nintendo going, I'm sorry, I'm pushing the buttons.
Mom said to me, sweetheart, one day you should settle down and marry a rich man. And I said, Mom, I am a rich man.
And then further programming on her show.
Girls are brighter than anyone, well, nearly brighter than anyone. Times are changing and we're right with them. We're in harmony.
We got rhythm.
Roles are changing and girls are switching. Leave the diapers.
Leave the kitchen.
When all said and when all is done, we're brighter than anyone.
Leave the kitchen, leave the diapers, leave your family.
Little boobies.
They don't need to be nurtured, do they?
So, question.
Can we, if we do questions, it'll be at the end, and it'll be outside. Okay, thanks. So, some people will say, well, wait a minute, Emily, they get pregnant. Do they really? Here we have a woman that I've never seen a baby that goes sideways like that. Baby's trying to climb uphill right now. And then we've got somebody with a perfect stomach, just like a moon bump that you can tie in the back and wear underneath your clothing. And let's see what happened with Beyonce when she sat down too quickly. Either somebody should have called 911 because she just delivered in the set,
Right.
or she's got a moon bump. You choose. But then people say, wait a minute, these children look just like their parents. Well, we're into role reversal right now, right? Look at his short arms. His nipples go in different directions. He's got a flat forehead, small facial features, small ears. But let's look at a real tranny who got pregnant.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Scary, scary. So, You ready for the golden calf of Christianity? Because nobody has exposed him. But me and my friend one day we're looking at him, and we found some interesting photos. You get to choose. I'm not saying for sure, but just be open, because it's everywhere, even in our Christian celebrities. We have Stephen Curtis Chapman on the left. Look how feminine he looks. He's got white hips. Guys don't sit like that. Look around the room. They usually don't, do this. Let alone a pointy chin. We're not supposed to worry about getting awards, let alone ones with stars and circles. Right? Pentagrams, not that one specifically, but still, big star. Some people say to look at the spouse if you want to see. I'm not really going to spend much time because who knows? She does have a white jawline, etc. But I did read her book about when they lost their child. 2 chapters devoted to Prozac. Then we have this one. How many here know anything about MK Ultra, mind control slaves? Okay, what's one of the symptoms? You adopt a lot of children. Now I want you to look at his hands. One of the symptoms of excessive testosterone is your body will turn darker except for your hands. Michael Jackson, glove. Think about it. That's why he turned white, because they had to give him, in my opinion, so much testosterone trying to make him look masculine, and it didn't really take, but that's why he got spotty. And so they just turned him white. Feminine pose. I'm sure there's men out there that have put a pink bow on with their little girls. It's not the worst thing ever, but it is odd. He just looks very feminine. This one scares me, and it could be just that they got out of the pool and they're kind of cold, but that looks scary to me.
Yeah.
And then here we have a very soft chin line, jawline, very soft. I've got a secret. Speechless. And you might be asking yourself right now, why, God, why? What's the point? Is it really going to make a difference? It's made a huge difference. One, we've been lied to, but now it makes girls swoon after girls. You're going to put that spirit of homosexuality right on people with no clue. Boys after boys. Children will look up to Christian role models. I know myself in the 90s when I used to watch the word programs, I was so excited when they would say, "Thank you, God. Yes, there's one in my camp."
Right.
Yeah, maybe not so much. Women having false expectations of what a woman looks like. I hate to tell you this, but I bought one of those balls, that you do this and try to get your jawline. No double chin. Yeah. Tells men they should be effeminate. How many of the stars in Hollywood are small men? Not to say there's anything wrong with small men, but generally speaking, they're small. Tells women that they should be able to do anything a man should do. I think we should be more about learning what a woman does naturally and working on that. Double-mindedness, as I talked about yesterday. And it creates the Jezebel and the Ahab spirit. Bottom line, though, is we worship and emulate Jesus or Yeshua. They emulate their own God. FDA approved. The things that our government says is just fine. Our meat is full of hormones. Can definitely, even one little molecule of a hormone in a body can be detrimental. Then, of course, we've got soy. I knew there was something wrong about 10, 15 years ago when soy was just a little too promoted. Yeah, it's estrogenic. And again, it's going to disrupt the hormonal levels. BPAs in our plastics, which does massive damage to our bodies and our hormonal levels. And it's in the water. There's a professor in Northern California, Professor Tyrone Hayes, that discovered these frogs, male frogs, were able all of a sudden to have babies. His life was threatened, but he's done interviews, and it's an interesting study. Vaccinations. I don't know really what's all in them. I think there's mercury and formaldehyde and all sorts of horrible stuff. But I'm going to talk about the worst. And many of you know what's in there. Yeah, aborted fetal tissue. But let's think about that. Every little girl's now getting boy DNA. boy and a girl. Fetal tissue's in there, so he got you covered. Also their soul. You are being given soul ties without your knowledge. And generally speaking, and maybe this is judgmental, I don't think women that go to have abortion are probably the most spiritually clean. They probably got a lot of stuff going on. And so we're all getting those spirits coming upon us. And it's biblical. God warns us. Will evildoers never understand? They consume my people as they consume bread. It's in our foods. They do not call upon the Lord. He's given us a warning, and he's given us a way out. We need to call upon the Lord. Also, I knew a friend that was training, came out of it. Unfortunately, she's back in. But she taught me that her mother had DES during the pregnancy. Never heard of it. Well, it was a drug from 1938 to 1971 that was given to mothers who had had miscarriages. It was the wonder drug. Cured even morning sickness. But that's a really great study to do because it has affected generation after generation. More breast cancer and more uterine cancer and all sorts of things. Because guess what? It's synthetic estrogen, which seems to be their go-to thing or go-to something hormone for us. Now here's the scary part. We got rid of it in 1971, so it'll work itself out, right? Yeah, it's in the pill. That's what the pill is. Synthetic estrogen. So here's just for fun, you can see the divorce rate is in accordance with the pill. Just kept climbing because after all, we could do anything that we wanted to. Here is a stat on, kind of look at it. Oh, this is Africa on the bottom and North America on the top for the pill usage. I had seen this one video of a black pastor, and he said it's a white person's sin. That was kind of interesting. I wonder what that's about. I wonder if this is why. As you can see, in Africa, there's less people that accept LGBT versus North America and Australia, the more westernized countries that take the pill. Is this the only factor? No, and as you'll find out, I have many factors, but this is one. And if this wasn't bad enough, we're going to open up a can of worms, and I mean that literally. Turpentine cured this man from being gay. For 30 years, all he could do was think about gay sex. He did a parasite cleanse, and 7 days later, gone. At the time of the video, I think it was 9 months after the cleanse, and the person that gives these cleanses out has had the same experience time after time. I don't really care for her, so I don't really promote her, but it is interesting that so many have just gotten rid of the parasites. Well, he did some studying. Have you ever heard of the toxoplasma in the cat litter boxes? Pregnant women are supposed to stay away from the cat litter boxes. Yeah, it's a toxoplasma. What happens is they get in the cat's stomach, into the feces, and then you can ingest them. And rats will ingest them and then want to have sex with the cat. Doesn't work really well for the rat, because so then the cat eats the rat and then the toxoplasma. Well, let me just have this video explained because it's awesome. Crazy cat lady, right?
Yeah.
I know of people like this, and they had a super clean house, like obsessively so. They get cats and they could care less. It smells like cat urine, they don't care. They actually crave the smell of cat urine. Sorry. Okay, this is cute though. We'll go to cute now.
Hey guys, Anthony here for D-News, and I am a dog person, for sure. My dad has always had cats, and I've never really had a beef with them, just never trusted them. They always seem like they're up to something. And it turns out that my instincts were right, because cats are controlling our minds! See, it turns out there's a parasite in the stomach of cats called toxoplasma, and when cats go to the bathroom, the parasite sits in their fecal matter, where it spreads to mice. And here's where things get crazy. When the mice contract the parasite, it rides on their white blood cells and messes with the chemicals that cause fear and anxiety. It actually makes them reckless and unafraid of cats. It also makes them attracted to the scent of cat urine. So, the mice run up to the cats eat the mice, and the parasite is right back where it wanted to be, in the belly of its co-conspirator. Okay, so cats are sort of creepy wizards, but we're not mice. So what do we care? Well, it can affect us too. Pregnant women are advised not to keep cats in litter boxes around because toxoplasma can cause a fetus to get sick. But more importantly, scientists think it can infect the fetus and inhibit those same chemicals that it does in the mice, which will then cause the child to exhibit reckless behavior. Michigan State University even found a connection between parasitic infection and suicide attempts. It's been linked to schizophrenia in some tests. Yeah, that's right. Your cat is sending parasites into your brain to give you suicidal thoughts. Here, take this tinfoil hat. Weird, right? But think about the image we have of the crazy cat lady, a hoarder, isolated, anxious, blurting out random things. Could this be toxoplasmosis? Well, maybe, but further studies are going to need to be done. In the meantime, can we really afford to keep these evil feline lich kings in our lives? I don't think so. I mean, even if they're not part of some evil conspiracy, would you rather live with this or this? Cat or dog person? I think it's obvious, but let me know down below. And hey, did you catch...
It's kind of funny, he goes on to talk about, like, having sex without marriage. I mean, not, he doesn't say those words, obviously, but it's kind of funny. He talks about, you know, some fun things. But amazing video. I was so excited to find this one. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it again. But the bottom line is these toxoplasmosis, they turn off the center for consequences, and they also turn off the center for pleasure. So when they have illicit sex, all this serotonin comes out, and they don't feel guilty. They feel they deserve it. They say 87% of car accidents are caused by people with toxoplasmia. It's really serious stuff. But we don't do that today, I'm sure. Or excuse me, in Egypt they used to worship cats. Not today, but yes they do. San Francisco Museum. They say they don't worship cats, but you can email them with the name of your cat and you and your person's and your name as well, and Queen Pastet will protect you. And the gay community is known to have a lot of cats. My daughter even jokes about it in some of her speeches. She said, I didn't think this seminar would take off because you're all staying home with your cats, or you don't have to leave your cats. John Hopkins proved there is no gay gene. And they were so smart when they did this. They just compiled studies. Because the LGBTQ came after them, of course. But I don't think they don't have a leg to stand on because they could just go, look, it's just all these studies, we just compiled them. And this is what they think of us. They're blank, it's a blank stare.
Sorry about the audio. They don't have a cable to tie into the speakers,
Okay.
so.
This part is, I'm sure it's my laptop, but sometimes it just, there we go.
This is the Gay Manifesto by Michael Swift, first published in Gay Community News, February 15th through the 21st in 1987. It is also reprinted in the Congressional Record. This is what it states. We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies. We shall seduce them in your schools, in your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups, in your movie theater bathrooms, in your army bunkhouses, in your truck stops, in all your male clubs, in your House of Congress, whenever men are with men together. Your sons shall become our minions and do our biddings. They will be recast into our image. All laws banning homosexual activity will be revoked. Instead, legislation shall be passed which engenders love between men. All homosexuals stand together as brothers. We shall triumph only when we present a common face to the vicious heterosexual enemy. If you dare to cry faggot, it states, very queer at us, we will stab you in your cowardly hearts and defile your dead, puny bodies. We will unmask the powerful homosexuals who masquerade as heterosexuals. Personalities, your civic leaders, your priests, are not the safe, familiar heterosexual figures you assume them to be.
In lieu of time, I'll stop it here and you can watch it later. But as you can see, they want to get us. They're after us. And a parasite personality, they basically find a host and suck them dry. And that, maybe it's not all about the toxoplasmia, but it does definitely bring up some interesting issues. And as you can see, this is 1987. So sometimes I go into the chat rooms, and I mention I'm from California. I get all these stories about California. I was there and all this evil took place in Hollywood, which I agree it does. But they asked me, why is it that gays tend to congregate on the coastline? I said, I don't know. Maybe all the unhappy Midwesterners move east and west. Well, then I met this guy, and as you can see, this is true. He's a sea monster, Leviathan. He's also the king of pride. And what he does is he finds children with a spirit of rejection upon them that have been abused, pushed aside, thought less of. And he comes in, and we feel like we're justifying ourselves finally because we feel good about ourselves, don't we? A little bit more on Leviathan. Really, really badass demon. He's a principality. Many symptoms of Leviathan you wouldn't expect, like he twists around the spine. If you're here Friday, I mentioned a young man that of course you're getting older when you say young man. Yeah. But anyway, this, about 38 years old, and we had an altercation, and he was showing how he's a neuroscientist and how he works on the spine with, what is that called? Basically aborted fetal tissue, but the,
Stem cell.
thank you. But he was showing us this picture of a spine, and he goes, and here's the legion of it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Coincidence? I don't know. But bottom line, anyway, the Leviathan twists around thing. He twists your words. He's the person that gets extremely angry, and you leave the argument, and you're like, I don't know what the problem was, because they go from left field to right field to home base and home. It's crazy. A lot of, but basically pride. So much of our sin today goes back to pride. Well, then I was thinking, well, where was Sodom and Gomorrah to prove this theory? On the sea. Then I started researching on what is actually fire and brimstone. Well, brimstone, read that here, is sulfur. Guess what sulfur does? Kills parasites. Then somebody had mentioned that Pompeii was just as bad. And it was. I did some research and it was awful. On the coastline. But it was lava that covered them. Bentonite clay kills parasites. Now the question that begs the question: why didn't God just set up some parasite cleanses on every corner, right? Some Whole Foods. Here's some parasite kits. Perfect. He wants us to call to Him, even when we are a mess. I believe it has a lot to do also that He made it a containment center, so that way people could come in and wouldn't be infected. That's my own opinion. I just think it's interesting. But bottom line, we're supposed to even think through the haze of the parasites or the demonic forces. Because these demonic forces come in with abuse, and they don't go out unless they're confessed. Unless we forgive and we repent from what we've done because of the pain, they do not leave. I mentioned the other day, Friday and today, I was sexually abused and satanic ritually abused. I've been dealing with this for 15 years. And I'm finally with a counselor that deals with these spirits. And that's why I'm so hot on them right now, or on them. But it's come, I want you to think of a pane glass window. And you take a tamper, right? And what happens? The glass is going to break. That's our little souls when we're 3 and 4 and 7. And they shatter and they fragment. And they become separated from the main personality. And that's what's happened to me. I've just discovered I have these inner children, which sounds crazy to some, but in this group, hopefully I'll still be accepted. And I have names and their personalities, and I'm seeing how they play in my whole life. And see, we're supposed to be double pane windows. We're supposed to be raised with these wonderful parents that take care of us, show us what God's love is really like. But most times not. But I'm still here.
Amen.
So, are you one of those people that like to look up words in the dictionary? I'm not. So God bless you. Never went there. Anyway, but I did one day on sodomy. So in the Webster's Dictionary, it states, it is anal or oral copulation with a member of the opposite sex, and obviously including bestiality. But wait, in the church they tell us that everything in the marriage bed is undefiled. undefiled. We're all good. So that means what? You can bring a goat, a film crew, another person, God forbid a child? No, it doesn't. So let's read what Scripture actually says. Let marriage be, which is a directive, held in honor among all, and the bed be undefiled. Well, some say that this is still okay, but let's look at it a little deeper. Because you see, I shared in my blog post one time with a group of women that I thought were really going to get it, because they believed in the first 5 books of the Bible were the law. Not so much. It got pretty ugly. Oh yeah. But my friend told me about this one little incident in Torah. Baal Peor. Baal Peor is a Moabite god who was worshipped with obscene rituals. The name means Lord of the Opening. From Baal meaning owner, husband, and Peor meaning open wide. And after all, 24,000 were killed. This is really serious. And this just happens to be a rock band, but I thought it would look really cool on my slide, because their name is Belphegor. Another name for Baal Peor is Belphegor, who is depicted either as a beautiful naked woman or a bearded demon with open mouth, horns, and sharply pointed nails, the open mouth being an indicator of the sexual rites used to worship him. Saint Jerome reported that statues of Baal Peor he encountered in Syria depicted the god with a phallus in his mouth. We are only supposed to have sex to obviously for enjoyment, but the whole purpose, truthfully, is for procreation. So when the sperm goes where it's not supposed to go, it's not a good thing. It causes things against our immune system, whichever orifice it goes into. There's spiritual ramifications. These things are living beings, after all. This is not a good time. And you might be wondering why this white-bread 60-year-old gray-haired woman is going to teach you about, let's face it, oral sex. These numbers keep coming up in my life, obsessively so, and I'm not a numerologist. But when you see them, you will know these are things I did not plan. My birth date was 12/22. Didn't plan that one. I really should make this bigger. I'll just read it. I met my husband when I was 19. First real date was August 19th. Our daughter was due on February 22nd. She was born on February 19th. In the year 1981, which equals 19. I was 22. Tim was born August 19th. I was 23. Oddly enough, I forgot to tell you yesterday about that I was able to give Edie Windsor my book on the 23rd. Leanne's sports number was 22. She was obsessed with it for 3.5 years. My grandmother was buried January 22nd, 2010. Tim was found dead, our son, 19 days later after his birthday. He was buried on the 19th. On the third day, on the 22nd, we found everything out that the book is written about on September 22nd, the day I met Edie Windsor years later. We woke up as San Diegans on June 19th. I might have fudged. I could have said we moved on the 18th, but still we woke up as San Diegans, which was really a cool day. My book was published, actually it was done on the 17th. And if you've ever written a book or done a huge project, you know at some point you are so spent you cannot look at another thing. I'd gone through 3 different rewrites, and if you fix one thing in the 2nd chapter, you gotta fix something else in the 7th. It is hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. But I knew if I held on to it, it would not be trusting God. So I hit send on August 17th, not knowing it takes 2 days to publish a book in my publishing company. So, also, our son would have been 33. Freemasons are all about sodomy. And now, today, I am coming against him. Then I met Edie Windsor, like I said, on September 22nd. Tom Dunn texted me, let's see what year would that have been, in 2017, in the winter, and said, I'm going to be at your house on February 19th to film you about what it's like to be a mother of a prodigal. Leanne's birthday. Not knowing, obviously. And even what guy was going to remember my daughter's birthday, right? Wouldn't expect that. And to announce my daughter's due date. She's pregnant intro vitro. She's due on October 22nd in the year 19. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, I didn't call her, okay, did you go talk to the doctor? So, I suspected that it was this verse, because I went through the Bible, 22:19 or 19:22. This sang to me, but I wasn't able to speak it out until I read this verse. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Gomorrah. Excuse me, Sodom and Egypt.
Yes.
So Sodom and Egypt are spiritually the same. So now let's look at this verse. And Yahweh shall strike Sodom. He shall strike and heal. Then they shall return to Yahweh, and he shall hear them and will heal them. This is not a prayer for the best parking space at Walmart. This is repentance, because we have been lied to. If I got the reaction I did from this group of women, they're supposedly into Torah and know about things unclean and clean, and we're not supposed to worship the phallus, I think we've all been guilty, maybe not every single person in here, but some. Then the church says this. They use this verse to counteract the belief that oral sex could possibly be in this umbrella of sodomy. That sounds like it to me, but then let's look at this. If you take it literally, you're basically saying a husband is supposed to take his wife outside so there can be shade and do this act. That's just another one. We're supposed to hear pigs right now in the sound effects, so just think of pigs. So we have been the prodigal son sleeping in the muck and eating the swine's leftovers. That act, or the passive rights underneath the high school bleachers, that act that kept you from getting pregnant, could also be going into the next line generationally. We need to get on our faces and repent. But the good news is, we have a God that heals. He wants to hear our prayer. So this is on the back of some of my business cards. I have some for business and I have some for ministry, it says ministry, which I don't know that I am doing that, but either way, you can just grab it, I won't look. And then there's the confession of sin on the back. What's happening spiritually in our country and world. This is a really sad state we're in. But the good news is we are in a truth movement, and these things are getting uncovered, and we are repenting, and we are doing face plants. We're changing the course of our own history because we are being obedient. I'm confessing these spirits right and left. It's an amazing time, and I feel like our marriage was the Poseidon adventure, and it's being righted up by God's word and God's truth. One of the things that was given to me as advice was a friend of mine said, start sowing the field that your child will soon be walking across. When that prodigal dad came running to his son, he met him halfway. So this is my hope, that I will be as clean and whole as possible for my daughter when she comes home. So we won't have we'll have the baggage to deal with, trust me. And that's okay. But at least I will be coming from a clean and whole space. Because I know this is possible. Here are just some of the people that have come back out of this. Hallelujah. And just one from a parasite cleanse, right? It's all about Jesus. And here's some advice from a dear friend of mine.
Yes.
Yes.
Love them to life, not to death. Doesn't matter if it is your child, your grandchild, your brother, your sister, your best friend, your neighbor, whoever it is, love them to life. Love them enough to tell them the truth of the gospel. Don't allow anybody to remain trapped in that darkness of that dark LGBT movement.
Listen, I know it's a choice because I chose it for over 30 years and now I choose not to. But if it wasn't for somebody loving me to life, I wouldn't be here today. God bless you all. I love you. Peace.
David's in the back. You can thank me personally. Love you, David. So if you haven't gotten his movie yet, I highly suggest it, and his book, but the movie is Fire and Brimstone. He tells his story in detail, and it's a fabulous documentary, just fabulous. So if you'd like to get a hold of me, here's one. Well, if you have this issue yourself, let me say that. I have a small group on Facebook. The good news is that it's secret. The bad news is that it's secret. Because, in other words, it stays small because you can't find it. But you have anonymity. No one will know that you're in there. It won't be flashed across the stream. You know, Emily Pittsford and hope for Christian parents of LGBTQ children. Anyway, I try to just do hope in there because we have enough information, quite frankly, of how horrible it is. I want to share with you stories of hope. So just, and then if you go to Emily L. Pittsford, I put my French stuff on there on Facebook. You can message me through there, and then I'll put you into the group. And then I have a blog. I just put a Jezebel and Ahab blog up Friday morning. So it has more detail in there. It has some great videos to watch, and some other great stories, like how I met Edie Windsor and gave her the book. That was really kind of cool. And stories about my daughter, and the toxoplasmia, and the Balpior. This is my YouTube channel. As you can see, it's just moving along at 142 subscribers. But that's okay, because I put my French stuff on there and things that I research, and that way you can see what's going on. So I'm going to leave you with this. Living under the world's rainbow is easy, right? Anyone can fall prey to the enemy's lies, as we all have, but living under his rainbow is righteous. So thank you so much for coming. Yeah, my son's book in this area.
What is it out there?
It's where the signs are right by the restroom. You know, the table with all the signs.
Yeah, it's there.
Mhm.
Okay. And your Facebook group, is it just for, because my oldest daughter is wayward, but she's not a confessing lesbian.
Oh, absolutely. There's only like 23 people, and they're not real active. But what I tell people when they first come in is go to the bottom, and I've got some really good stuff in there. They just never got active, and so I kind of, lost my mojo, if you will.
Right.
But I do try to put in stuff in there that's helpful.
And can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you're saying sodomy is oral or anal, and that it's wrong. I went to a marriage seminar and they had a rabbi Orthodox Jew stand up and say that anything is permissible in a marriage bed.
Yeah.
To a group of thousands.
Yeah. Well, go on my blog, and there's some good YouTube videos on there.
Okay, on your blog.
On my blog.
Is it best to find it on Facebook first or YouTube first?
Well,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. Facebook, you can actually message me. I don't know how to do it on YouTube.
Okay.
So,
I'm Krista.
oh, I'm sorry.
Nice to meet you. Yes.
But Facebook is fine, and YouTube videos. But my blog has got some really good information.
Cool.
There's no way I can go into depth on every single factor.
And it's so amazing. You did a great job. Thank you. So I wrote my first book this year too, so congratulations on your book. So I know how hard that is. So.
Oh my gosh, it blood sisters, but praise God.
Kristen, what do we know? We need to run the PowerPoint up.
Well, they never come. Okay. Yeah, they never come. It is. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. There you go. Here, once again, my sister. That's why she was. That's why she was. I after I had them, so I just stood it up and I. Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Oh, my mom. Yeah, my mom. They're not like that rainbow. And then. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're all white. I guess so. I mean, I'm sure my mom likes to know what shit is out. Yeah. Yeah, she was. She was like, I know you're watching in your 15 minutes. You just need to tell me something small. Okay, Mom. Yeah. So. Oh my goodness. No.
Obviously, what it will be, right?
Right, yeah, so I don't know, I'll do something. There is a it's the highest that we have, and it's like, he said it's ways and that's what? Yeah, I know. So, that only takes a year.
I'm about to call the police just because this is. I'm not trying to ruin my family's story. I'm trying to be sensitive. Just gotta Those guys there. She's gotta go. There's no reason for you to do that.
I mean, you're making it
Backpacks and satchels. You're walking out.
No weapons, right, guys?
He said we could use the clicker, or we could put this on the podium. Doesn't always go.
Is this one not even like
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do.
Do you want the lights on? For some reason,
Oh, here he is. Yay!
We just need to do a quick sound check on the video. Because video's been doing okay.
So what we need to do is get audio from there to there. So did you find Dr. Monzo at all?
Did I still need that card?
If not, what I'll have to do is
Yeah, because we just need to bring this over here, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't. Put your ears in it.